This is the Empower Podcast. Released January 16th, 2023. Episode 615. Augmented Engineering.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
2023.
Oh, yeah. New year. Happy New Year.
Yeah, well, yeah. Funny that.
Dave's off in the middle of nowhere. This is a very first. Not a first. This is the first in a while. Dave's got these clandestine audio sounds behind him. He just had a twin prop plane go overhead. So
I did. I had it.
He's out in the bush.
Had it called. Yep. I'll go and walkabout.
Yep. There you go.
Although not far enough that there's no internet here. I do have satellite internet or something.
Oh, thank God. I mean, yeah.
Yep. So it's satellite through Wi-Fi. So this could be our worst nightmare.
Vacation with Wi-Fi, it's what separates us from the animals. So,
Right. Oh no, here comes the plane again.
Oh yeah, they're just circling. They found you, Dave. You gotta watch out.
They geolocated me.
That's right.
I do play that game. I do play that geolocation game on Twitter. I actually post photos of myself, and I'm amazed. Yeah,
people get it right.
Actually find me. Yeah, people do find me.
All right.
So yeah, it's quite amazing.
I guess if you go to popular enough spots, they know you're still in Australia.
If I post a photo of some grass or something, then they're not exactly going to get me.
Yeah.
But I can remember one of my viewers sent me because I think I put a call out, maybe like a sort of a half jokingly call out. Oh, send me a photo and I'll try and guess where it is. Because I was trying that. There's geolocation software and stuff.
Sure, yeah. There's almost like a Wordle for geo spots, right?
Right. Yeah. And I can remember I spent half a day on it, and I couldn't. I thought I'd narrowed it down. I thought, but I couldn't get the exact. I thought, I did actually. I thought I had it, but then I couldn't find a matching photo that was similar. It was overlooking this city at night or something, and I thought I had it. Because I actually tracked down the person of where they lived and the person who sent it to me. So I tracked down where they lived.
Yep.
And then I figured out, well, they were where would they holiday around there or something, or where would they drive to? So and I narrowed it down, but I couldn't get it in the end. And then he appeared on one of my live shows once, and he said, "Hey, I'm the guy who sent you that geolocation photo thing." And I said, and he said, "Do you really want to know where it was?" And I went, "Yeah, okay." And it was, sure enough, it was one of the places that I had picked.
Oh, no way.
It was actually Universal Studios Hollywood.
Oh,
yep. It was Universal Studio. It was up on the top of the, there's a lookout or something up there. There's this train station, one of those, trains they take you around on the tours and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I had it nailed, but I couldn't get a photo from that location. So that was actually one of my picks, which I spent hours on. And that was half of my day. I'm half a day of life.
Ways to waste Dave's day. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. You can get sucked down the rabbit hole.
I've tried those games before, where you try and guess it based on just random Google Maps. They drop you in the middle of the farmland.
Yep, I've tried.
The best you ever get is maybe you get the language on a sign.
Maybe, or something like that.
You can kind of seek around a little bit. That's a tough thing though. Some people are really good at that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they're great. So yeah, I've actually watched quite a few videos. There's actually entire channels out there devoted to.
Oh no way! Okay.
Yeah, solving those things. So there you go. If you want to waste more of your life watching.
Watch other people do it. Yeah.
Instead of wasting your life listening to the Amp Hour. So.
Well, hey now.
Usually,
we are the premier news source. Yeah.
Right.
Well, what are we going to talk about if you're on vacation? I mean, I guess what you ended up the year with, what I ended up the year with, that sort of stuff. Or what are you thinking here? What have you been up to? It's been a while since we chatted. I took a hell of a break.
You took a sabbatical. Yep.
Basically, I had meant for Dave and I to record, but I was then.
No, you were in a blizzard or something, weren't you?
I was expecting to be back home, but I got stuck in Buffalo, where I grew up, and it was huge, the 2022 blizzard, basically like a meter and a half of snow plus like
Yikes.
sustained winds above, like that's how you define a blizzard. And so, yeah, even though the snow started to clear up, the airport just like, we're like, nah, we're not going to open today when I was supposed to fly out. So I got home much later.
Yikes.
So always bring a microphone with you where you're going. That's the lesson here, folks.
Well, I'm currently using my old school Samsung CO1U, and it's in a shoe, sitting in a shoe,
well,
and the shoe is
that's the tip. That's the hot tip from the former traveler.
And the shoe is currently sitting on my laptop keyboard. So I've got I'm sitting on a deck chair. So
nice.
yep,
Relax.
Classy with a pillow.
That's good. That's good.
There you go. Hear some noises.
Yeah, the kids screaming in the background. That'd be good. You said you're on a farm where there's kangaroos as well, right?
Yeah. There's kangaroos. Can't see any at the moment though. But no. But it's what is it? 10 a.m. in the morning, 9:30 a.m. in the morning. So they're usually they usually come out at dawn and dusk. So it's kind of past that. They're kind of hiding. So
makes sense.
Yep. You saw a bunch of kangaroos while you were here. You ticked that one off.
On the
you saw
trip.
about 50 in a paddock.
Yeah, that's right.
For those who don't know, we went on that road trip to Canberra to the deep space tracking complex.
Yep.
And we put it in the GPS. We put the deep space tracking complex in the GPS, and we turned up, and it was this like visitor. It was this other like visitor center or something.
We were in the wrong spot.
Yeah, we were totally in the wrong spot, and there was a whole paddock full of kangaroos, and there you go.
Yep.
Yep.
Check. There we go. All done. Yeah, that was like going on 6 years ago now. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time for you to come to the US, man. Time for you to come to the US.
Yeah, sure. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Drag the family to the US. They're not gonna let me go there on my own.
No, of course not. No, they should come. They should come and hang out,
Yeah, well.
Last week we did a impedance matching episode. It was great. We brought up your video about AI and GPT taking over the world.
Oh, it's right. Yeah.
I'm not sure I agree with you, but I'm also not sure if I got enough credit for showing you how to use Midjourney, but it's okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do enjoy Midjourney. It's great.
Yeah, it's been fun to play with.
Yep. What don't you agree with? What don't you agree with?
Well, like I
was being a bit hyperbolic. I'm like,
of course,
I'm not.
That's kind of your thing.
Like when I say art is finished, right? Like it's over. I don't mean it's over. Right?
No,
it's like
augmented. It's changed. It's another thing here.
It's changed. Like there are many jobs which I would have gone to a graphic artist before, and now I just wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the thing. Like, and that's that. I do agree with. I think it's like sweeping up kind of the low hanging fruit, not the low hanging fruit, but like the menial work of certain industries, right?
Totally.
And not to say that that's not, people might be earning a living from it, but there's always that kind of like job creation, destruction type of stuff. I think about like certain automation activities generally, right? If we move away from AI and chatbots and stuff like that, and you just think about general like menial tasks that become kind of automated either by software or like IoT type stuff, or it's like, yes, it is in theory taking a job, but it's also usually moving people up the value chain, and they have more coverage area to like, okay, instead of going to check the pool water temperature on 20 pools in a day, now they become the pool manager for a region. And it's like, is that destroying a bunch of jobs? Yeah, maybe if you count those, the 5 people it replaced with one person as like destroying 4 jobs, but like also like there's nothing that's going to stop the march of that progress because there's always the drive towards efficiency, I feel like.
Yep. But there's also like the art of, like as we've discussed before, the art of actually making it do what you want. And most people aren't going to be willing to learn that.
I did agree with that.
Right? Most people aren't going to put the effort in to learn that. So they're just going to go to an artist who is just then going to use, is then going to know how to drive the engine to generate what they want.
Maybe you should explain that for people who haven't seen the video as well, what you were saying there. Because I think that's a salient point.
Oh, you want me to explain it?
Yeah. What you explain what you mean by the driving the engines, right? Like,
Right, because you can't. Well, you can. You can just say like I used an example on Twitter. I wanted a what was it, a bunny rabbit with a wearing a top hat while eating a banana or something. I don't know, and it does it.
mhm,
No, it was a rabbit sitting on a plant while wearing a hat or something like that, and it actually did it.
okay,
It actually generated that, but in a lot of cases, probably the majority of cases, you can't do it that simplistically. Like you really have to you have to tell it that you want a render instead of a painting type, because it can do different styles of art and stuff like that. So you have to, say, oh, I want a realistic render or something like that. And then you've got to put the things in a certain order. Otherwise it's going to prioritize certain things first before, so it's going to think about, oh, okay, I'm going to generate this first and then add that later over the top,
yeah,
and it's back to
yep,
front and stuff like that.
yep,
So there's an
yeah,
art in doing the script to generate exactly what you want, to actually tweak it. Otherwise you're just going to
yes,
end up with something random, which will probably look funky, right? But it's not exactly what you wanted, and that's the point.
yes.
So yeah.
I have found specifically, so I use a lot of Mid-Journey stuff, like Dave's been doing too, and like I find there are certain things that I am absolutely incapable of getting it
Yeah.
to actually output. So
Yeah.
like here's an example. I have a webinar coming up where I had this idea where I was like, okay, we're talking about like low power, and for some reason my stupid brain's like, oh, that's like sipping power. Like, oh, I can be so
Right,
clever about
sip.
this. And
Okay.
like
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's like sipping power. So I was like, okay, I want to have like what looks like a Duracell battery, but it's actually like a can, and then there's this curly straw coming out of it. For some reason, I don't
You
know
couldn't do it.
why.
Yeah.
I spent probably an hour and a half trying to get it to render a straw, and I could
Wow.
not. It'll do a straw, but it
Yeah, yeah.
won't do like the curly Q straw that was in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
head. And for
Yes.
some reason, I got so frustrated. I spent my whole lunch hour doing it. I was just like so frustrated. And at the end of the day, what I did is I just generated actually, I'll send you the post that you have it here too. I just generated most of the art, and then I said, you know what? I can just do the old paste
Photoshop
it
it
in
or
there.
whatever. Yep.
I can just
Yep.
Photoshop it in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like that to me is it's the hard part is definitely done already, right? The hard part was to
Yes,
generate. So I
exactly.
like rendered like what kind of looked like a D cell battery with like kind of was looking like a Duracell, just kind of like the copper top style coloration. And I wanted it to be in a kitchen, and I wanted to have like light coming in through a window, like all of that stuff. It was awesome with, but then
Right.
everything else I had to like edit. And so like, again,
There it
so
is. I
I,
can see it now. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So like I was trying to, and people should sign up for this webinar too. Uh, I was trying to do all this stuff and get this in there, or sorry, to take it to the electronics analogy here, I would say this is like if I was trying to build a switch regulator, now the AI generator engine basically is like moving me up a level where now I go and buy the switching regulator, like the finish. I'm not building the switching regulator from scratch. I'm not
Mm.
sketching the switching
Yeah.
regulator out on a piece of paper. I am buying that finished
Yes.
good and
Yep.
implementing it. And now there's a whole other set of problems because now I've moved up a level, and I want
Yeah.
to just trigger this one little detail there, right? I need to implement the soft start, and it's not in this chipset. Okay, well, I got to go and cut and paste this thing in there. It sounds trivial,
I know.
but like there isn't the value that I previously may have had being able to draw a battery on a table and have it in there. I've now moved up a level, and that's just kind of done now, and I can go and focus on some other stupid stuff that I've implemented for myself here, like putting a curly straw into it. I know
Yeah.
that sounds stupid, but that's kind of how I like imagine a lot of this similar like augmentation is. It's moving up a level, like letting someone else do the silicon piece. That's kind of how I think about it in terms of electronics.
That's what a lot of people have tried to argue with me on Twitter and elsewhere in the comments. They've tried to argue that, oh, no, it's not, it just generates this garbage. But you don't understand that. Like, I was not even able to generate garbage before, right? I am
That's
not an
right.
artist,
That's
right?
exactly right.
I
That is
cannot
exactly right.
produce a
Yeah.
photorealistic photo
Right.
of a rabbit. Okay.
Right.
Now I can.
Right.
I've gone from zero artistic skills to
Mm-hmm.
like the
A
level is
modicum
actually
of artistic
enormous.
skills.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then yes, I can use my feeble Earthen view or Photoshop skills to actually then I want to overlay a transparent PNG over the top of that or something to kind of like
Hmm.
finish it
Yeah.
off. Yes, it's like you have no idea what capability this is just given a hack like me. I've gone from nothing
Yeah.
to at
Yeah.
least semi-serious ability to actually produce stuff.
Right. And I think the other thing then too is that it becomes a sliding scale now too, right? And it's like now this is a tool that is available to everyone. So again, to take it back to the electronics analogy, right? Whereas
Mm.
maybe only a Jim Williams could implement this crazy ass all, silicon level, single transistor isolated thermocouple circuit, right? And now TI comes up with that same kind of circuit that's as good or maybe even a little worse, but still accessible to
It's
everyone.
close, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's now accessible. Okay, well, now that problem's kind of solved. There's a cost to it, but it's kind of solved, and we've moved on. Now we might bemoan the lack of knowledge. When we have you and I
yes,
have bemoaned the lack of knowledge that person that knows how to do that circuit, but more than likely that person goes and works at the company that now is producing that circuit, like the TIs of the world, and in doing so it becomes accessible to everyone. I feel like I'm trying to like promote
mm,
AI here. I'm not really trying to, but I what I'm really trying to say is I'm terrible at art, just like Dave's terrible at art, and I need
yeah.
art.
It's like everything in the engineering chain, right? You can do
Yeah.
phenomenal engineering without using anything more than Ohm's law, right? You can do
Yeah.
phenomenal engineering without not knowing how to lay out a PCB because there's companies that do that, or you can just wire modules together, or you can
Mhm.
develop these hugely complex systems, right?
Yeah.
Without any of the deeper underlying knowledge, you can do a lot of
Yeah.
practical stuff. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're the world's best, like you
Oh,
can
no, no,
slap
no.
together like all this
Probably not.
cellular, right? All this
Yeah.
cellular stuff that you're dealing with, right? All
Yeah. Oh
this
my God.
Internet of Things
Yeah.
cellular
There's
stuff. You don't need
so
to
much
know,
stuff under the
yeah,
hood. There's
right?
so much stuff under the hood that
I
I have
know
no visibility into, and I don't want to, and I just want it to work. And
exactly.
like, oh my God, yeah,
And you're a decent engineer. You're an experienced engineer, and you still don't
yeah,
have any
yeah.
clue how that works under the
No,
hood,
yeah.
right? It's
You would
like
just never do anything though, right? Or
no,
you would have to work
exactly.
at
You
such
would
a
never get
massive
anything
company that
done.
is so
Yeah,
vertically
yeah.
integrated that you have a silicon designer all the way up to someone writing software on a cloud server,
Mm.
and you're building all the servers in between. Like it would have to be the biggest company in the world, right? This is just part of interoperability.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's still arguments against this stuff, but
oh, well, there
yeah,
is, but now it's given
yeah,
anyone with any half decent Photoshop skills, right? They can combine that with Midjourney or some other, art AI art generator thing,
mm,
and they're
yeah,
boom, they have leveled up so much. It's crazy, right? Sure, the exact finished product from the AI is not perfect, but then you combine that with your Photoshop skills to like finish it off, and boom,
yeah,
you've opened a whole
sure,
new area instantly, like without
sure,
having
sure,
to
sure,
learn anything more than a couple of command line, how to drive a command line, right?
yeah.
It's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
it's
think I,
nuts.
I think really it brings up the entire like I think we're going to be more discerning as consumers of art, if you want to call us consumers of art. I think we're going to
Right.
be more discerning generally. Like, well, I think I'll be able to look at some things and be like, oh, that's probably generated versus maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I feel like there's just going to be more in the art area. There's going to be more stuff out there, and
Mm.
so we're going to have more expectations that art is attached to a thing and that it's and blog. I'm really going to say blog art versus just art as a category. So like there's just more expectations that it's possible to do these sort of things. So it'll become less special, right? It'll actually grab our attention less, I'm guessing,
Right.
unfortunately,
Yes.
for better or worse.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Mm.
I think the more interesting stuff is on the code side of things, like all of the
Oh yeah, the code
AI
side. Yeah,
side.
I only
Yeah.
touched on that in that video. Apparently, it can do
Yeah.
almost any language. Well, I'm not going to say it can do any language, but it's trained on a whole bunch of them.
Sure,
So
sure.
yeah,
I
yeah,
well, and I was talking to someone about this recently too, and I think so. Then like, okay, so now it can write code. Okay, cool.
mm,
I'm not great at code. But even the code that I'm writing these days, it's actually just kind of like understanding code that's out there and pasting it together. I'm pretty sure
exactly.
that
Yeah,
as of right now, right? So I could probably say, "Hey, Chat GPT, can you write me something in Zephyr?" And it would probably be like would output like something that would work in Zephyr, the real-time operating system that I'm often working on, and
yep.
it would work. And then if I said like, "Hey, can you go and write me a new driver in Zephyr for this new part from Analog Devices?" I don't think it's going to do that yet. And so like
Right. No, but that'd be powerful, wouldn't it?
that would be super powerful. But you know what? That's work that I want to get off my plate anyways. Like, so I don't see, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of concern about that sort of thing, but like I see all of these things as like supplementing solo engineers
Yeah.
and like,
Same here. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I've, there are definitely downsides to like, bias in AI engines and all of the potential. There's pages and pages and pages of why certain AI things are bad, and that's fine. But like, I see it as a tool for like doing more stuff myself and like
Yeah.
reducing barriers to like communication between myself and other engineers. If I can like prototype something before I go talk to a professional firmware engineer, be like, hey,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like this, and I can like help it to formulate my ideas. I'm still going to use that professional firmware engineer to make it really good. And so,
Yeah, to polish it, of course, but to get
yeah,
something off the ground and,
yeah,
at least it doing a hello world or something like that,
yeah,
which is half the challenge, especially if you're doing a
yeah.
complex system, then
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And I think so. Like, I see a lot of this stuff as like, we've talked about on the show before. We talked about like layout and like how AI might play into that stuff at some point. Like, I think it's all going to be supplemental for the next many years, right?
yes, yeah, totally.
It might move faster than we've predicted, and better or worse, fine, whatever. But like, there's still like system capabilities. Like I still needed to define what I even want in the system, and being able to interact with people that don't know what they want in a system and
Yep.
understanding systems. And like, so personally, I'm not personally very, very worried about this sort of thing. Like that's where people start is like, oh no, what about my job? It's like, look, there's a lot of work to be done. So I'm not super
Exactly.
worried about that sort of thing, but it will be interesting to see kind of that. I think we're very rapidly entering the age of co-working with these AIs. And I think then it's a question
Co-work,
of
yes.
that is co-working, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
it's like
yeah, totally.
collaboration.
Yeah.
It's collaboration. It's
Well,
augmentation.
like people use the example like, well, is it AI if I use Photoshop's cloning tool? Like it's got all
Yeah,
those
right, right.
really advanced tools, right, to
Yeah,
like fill in
yeah, right.
backgrounds and stuff. That's like kind of
I
like
mean,
how
you
is
don't
that
know how many
any
photos
different,
I've
really?
edited of myself to just like have fuller lips and just like really,
Right.
smooth
Yep.
skin,
Yep.
put on Instagram.
So you can think of it as so if you're worried, you can think of it as just a more advanced version of a
Yeah, I think it is.
tool that just allows you to do stuff.
I think it is. I think we're entering that age of augmentation, and then, what does that mean then moving forward? And really, when do we exit that age of augmentation? That's what people are really talking about.
Augmented
Yeah,
engineering.
I think that's right.
Is that the
Yeah,
name for this episode?
I think it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Dave's
I like it.
Dave's gonna be a cyborg.
Yep. Oh boy.
here's
Yeah.
here's here's how crazy this stuff has gotten, folks. I would trust Dave to make blog art now. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, I know. That's it. See, and people think it's a nothing burger. It's taken me
Yeah,
from a nothing to Chris
to a
Gamble thinking
something.
that I'm a capable blogging artist. You know, I mean, come on. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I had like
That would not have happened in
zero
the past.
ability, right? The only ability I had before, okay, I can take a picture of, I can steal a picture of a rabbit from Google Images, okay, but I've got to make sure
Uh,
it's transparent, and then I've got to overlay it on the background that I want,
that's
and then
right.
I've got to
That's
add
right.
like a hat on top, and then I've got to add a,
Uh, right. Right.
no,
Yeah. No,
it's like,
I think that's a very realistic look at kind of how I do it too.
uh,
Sometimes I would trace over top of things as well in Inkscape.
yeah, no,
Um,
I'm real like you have no idea, like I'm still View level, right? I'm like, yeah, that's how poor
yeah.
I am. So
So I
yeah.
am excited. So I will say for people that are listening that if you're worried about Dave and I talking about this, I think we're going to keep talking about it. In fact, I have a guest that's supposed to come on at the end of this quarter that's kind of doing some augmented layout type stuff. I was kind of skeptical about it. I talked to them and they said it wasn't right to talk to. They wanted to wait a couple months to showcase what they're doing. But like by the end of like a 20-minute call, I was pretty sold on the concept because again, it was like a measured thing, right? If someone
Mm,
came in and they told me like, I'm going to do you put in, 2 data sheets and I will output a layout for you. It's like
yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. But if it's like, I'm going to augment some of your design stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, that is a good start. Will that company maybe do more and more of layout for me over time? Yeah, that's possible too. But I don't really, I think maybe one thing is that I have held on to the identity of electrical engineer a long time, but like if I just think of myself as like a person solving problem with electronics, then I really don't care if I'm doing firmware or hardware or layout, or you know what I mean? Like it's just like
Right.
if you're just trying to get to that end product, I think you're going to be more effective. You're going to use more tools in your tool belt, and some of them might be some of these engines that are coming out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Can we talk about something else now?
Yeah, totally. I found out what trade shows I'm going to be at this year. I'm going to be at Embedded World again, which is in March, and I will be at
That's
Embedded Open
Germany, is
Source.
it? Is that the
That's right.
German?
That's
Yep.
Nuremberg. Yeah, I
Yep.
really loved that show last year. I mean, aside from getting COVID,
Right.
I think it's one of the best trade shows I've been to, and I would recommend. If people are in Europe and
I would
travel is
love
not
to
too
go to
tough.
it, yeah, but
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. And then I will be at the Embedded Open Source Summit, which is I went to the Zephyr Developer Summit last year. This is kind of like a combination of that plus Embedded Linux Conference and Automotive Linux Conference, and so that's in Prague in June. So I will be at
Cool.
those two shows if all goes well, and hopefully without COVID afterwards if all goes well. We'll see how that goes.
Surely you're
But
immune now.
yeah, right, right. I would love to hear about other, I found that other shows in the US have been kind of on the downside. If people know about other shows, I'd love to know about them. I'm
Hmm.
always on the lookout for that.
Well, I just found out. I think John Oxer
Mm-hmm.
mentioned it. That there was a Maker Faire in Melbourne. I
Oh,
thought
no
Maker
way.
Faire was
Really?
dead. Yeah,
Yeah, I think they're,
he just went to a Maker Faire in Melbourne, and it looked like pretty decent size. And I didn't hear a thing
hmm.
about it. So I
That's
don't
too
know.
bad. Yeah.
But
Maybe next time.
they went bust, right? I'm sure my memory isn't that bad.
I think,
They like the actual brand went bust or something, didn't it?
no, it's not like bankrupt or anything, but the big Maker Faire has not come back, and I don't think will
Right.
come back. So that was like the big ones were in the US at least, and like they were centrally managed as well. So it's kind of like I think of it kind of like a
Yeah, you
what's it
had
called?
to like license the
McDonald's.
name, right? You had to, and there
Yeah,
was
like what's a
strict
McDonald's
things there.
model? Like
Right.
franchise, like a franchise
Yeah, yeah.
model. I kind of think about it like that.
Right.
And the centrally managed ones, I believe, are gone. And those were like New York and San Francisco, I think. But I think,
So how's this little tin pot one in Melbourne happening?
well, that's a community based one. So the community based ones were kind of all over the States and all over
Yeah,
the
yeah, but you
world.
still need approval to use the name and everything, right? And the logo. And I'm pretty sure it was a Maker. It was branded as
Yeah,
a
that's
Maker
right.
Faire. So
But the company's not gone, I don't think. I think it's just they're
okay,
not
right.
running the conference themselves
Yeah.
anymore. This is all bad memory on my part. So
Yep.
I do believe, because I think make.co is still there. I think it's still
All right.
a site. Make.co. Yeah. Yeah. So make.co is still there. They still have a publication, but I think it's just significantly scaled back. So
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I just like it didn't even pop up on my radar until it had
yeah, that's
happened.
too
So
bad. Yeah.
yep. Oh well.
Yeah.
Otherwise I probably would have gone, I think. So, it's only Melbourne.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah. That's a
yeah.
pretty short flight from you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not far. I could do it as a day
Yeah.
trip. Like,
Oh, there you go.
yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Well, Dave's still on the lookout for the best Aussie tech conference. I still think he's gonna have to start one, but
Yeah, I know. I'll probably have to start one. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Someone's got to take the bullet. Yep, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to be
Yep.
me. Yep.
Yeah, I'd say you bankroll it and then let someone
Yeah.
else set it up for you.
Right.
You got tons of money. Come on, man.
Oh,
Use
well,
some of that
yeah,
DMM money.
Right.
That DMM money.
Yep.
All that cryptocurrency I keep hearing about. Oh boy. Not going there. Sorry. I didn't say it.
It's doing just fine. Don't know what you're talking
All right,
about.
good. Good.
Yep.
Good. I just meant I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh boy. Yep.
Yeah. What else should we talk about then? I guess we have a list of things.
Which I have not looked at. So,
I haven't either. Oh, actually, I mentioned this in the last show, but it still blows my mind that it's a thing. So, Qualcomm Snapdragon satellite enables two-way messaging from the Iridium network. So basically, like these new chipsets are like talking. And Alvaro Prieto was on the show last time, and he works for a company that talks to satellites regularly with like the
Yeah.
big Iridium modems. But like like phones talking to satellites. For some reason, that blows my mind. I don't know like if that's other people too, but
Yeah, it
I'll
is,
link
but
this in. There's
it's like hundreds of bits per second. It's like, Voyager
right,
space
but
probe level data
yeah,
rates,
that's
isn't
great.
it?
Text messages and no emojis. What could go? What's
Right.
better than that? They should make us do a T9. Like that's the real measure.
A T9?
T9 was like the old Nokia. That's how you like input text using a keypad. Was T9?
Nope.
No, was
Nope.
it called T9? I think it's called T9. I
Doesn't
think so.
doesn't ring a bell.
Like you remember how you used to put text messages into your Nokia phone on using the keypad? It was only like 1 through
Oh
0.
yeah. Well, that they have the three letters on each number of the
Yeah,
keypad. Is that what you're talking about?
that's right. It's called predictive text. So that was like this. That was the system where
Yeah,
it would
right.
look.
Yep.
It would be like, you type in, you hit nine. What was it? 888 or 8, and then it got to T, and then it's like, then you put in an H, and it's like, oh, he's probably trying to say the, and
Right. He's
it would
probably, yeah, and then
show
it's,
you
yep.
stuff on the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, so you don't have to type out everything, but just
Yes.
most of it. So that's T9. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So I feel like that would be, if you're going to talk to satellite,
Yep.
you got to do it through T9.
But this is one of the things where people think, oh, we're just, 6 months, a year away from having, massive data rates directly from phones to satellites.
Oh, yeah,
No,
no.
it
Yeah.
physically is not possible unless you have like massive power levels. Like it is
Yeah,
simply
that's
the
right.
power, it's a power level problem. Yes, you can do text messages. Yes, you can do, voice. Maybe, well,
Yep.
we have a loaf line.
Oh, wow.
Nope. No.
They're coming for Dave, folks.
Yep, they've geolocated me. But no,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that's just, you can confidently say it's not going to happen because they just got massive power requirements. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and antenna requirements too, like in that,
oh yeah,
the
no, totally. Yeah,
RF channel,
exactly. Like
right?
it's,
So,
you're not going to be able to pull your shoe phone out of your pocket and start doing streaming
yeah.
HD video directly from a satellite. It's just no.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, how many watts does the Tesla Skynet thing take? It's like, what is it, 800 watts or something? It's enormous
Oh,
power requirements
for,
just for that transceiver dish.
oh, really? The one, actually the ground station for it you're talking about.
Yes, yeah, the ground station thing. I think it's like 800 watts or something. It's enormous power. Maybe it's not. Hang on, I'll try and get it live here. But yeah, power requirements are enormous. God,
Yeah.
what's it
Starlink you're
actually
talking
called?
about.
Tesla
Starlink. Yeah.
Starlink.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
couldn't remember either. Dave and I are increasingly get into like the, oh, I can't remember. And they're like, yeah, I can't remember either.
Oh boy.
Starlink.
Maybe we can ask
Yeah.
Chat GPT.
There you go. Yeah, it could just be like our supplemental during the show. Be like,
Oh no, here we go. It's a bit over 110 to 150 watts on average, right? I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
come on, right? There's another thing that says 45 to 75 watts, right?
Yeah. I mean, if people go and look at the Shariar teardown of the, I guess the
Yes.
older generation, because it was circular. Yeah, but he looks at the beam steering with that thing as well, and so actually I hadn't seen this. Wow, it's $110 per month. That's crazy.
Oh, is it? US.
Like, it's crazy that this is accessible. So there's a price on the US site at least. It says
Yeah.
$110 per month with a one-time hardware cost of $600. That's pretty bonkers. Like you think
Which
about
they're
like
making a loss on that apparently. Apparently they're making a loss on the
oh, really?
hardware cost. Yeah, they're eating that.
Interesting.
I don't.
Yeah.
Long-term bet wise, I don't think they're going to stay in business. But
I don't know. Like you think about like how much this enables,
tough.
like in terms of like there's so many remote areas in the US. Like there's just so much. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
but
I don't think you have
yeah,
coverage in the Outback yet, but you think about like all the people in the Outback.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
true.
sure it will.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like it's a great option, but it's like it's not cheap. And
No,
how
definitely
many
not.
people actually use it as more and more people move into the bloody cities, into the big
true,
smoke
true.
where there's coverage? Even cellular. Once you've got cellular coverage, there's no point having Starlink, right?
True.
So because you can already get your your 5G whatnots.
Sure.
So yeah.
Soon 6G. Why not? Bring it on.
Even 4G. even 4G gives you just as capable, if not more capable, than Starlink,
Sure.
right?
I don't know about that, but I don't know the details.
All I know is that I can upload YouTube videos direct from my phone on my 4G connection, like in minutes.
Wow.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it's pretty quick.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yep.
Yes, we have a wealth of connectivity options.
Mm.
Which is why it's interesting in the next story that we're going to talk about here that a well-known connectivity provider known as Espressif decided, you know what? Actually, we're not going to put any connectivity on this upcoming part. The ESP32P4 was just announced, and it is a dual-core 400 megahertz with a secondary 40 megahertz, all RISC-V processors. And
Yeah.
there's there,
Why that secondary processor? Is that a low power jobby? So then you can have that
yeah, low
running.
power. That's right.
You're right.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
that powers up the bigger beast of a
Yep.
core. And then, right.
Yep.
Okay.
Two cores, the
Yep.
two beasts.
Right.
But
So there's
the
two
crazy
beasts.
thing is
Okay.
that it's an espressive part, known for their low cost Wi-Fi.
That's the only thing they were known for, right? That's like, yeah.
That's right, right. Well, increasingly they're getting into like the thread game as well, and so like they're doing Bluetooth Wi-Fi, right? Thread, but now this is nothing, no
Zip.
connectivity.
Is it really cheap?
Well, there is no pricing on it yet, but yes, it's going to be really cheap.
Like, how much silicon area does that save? Like, how much cost per chip does that save? I'd really love to know.
Without the RF components.
Yeah, without all the RS stuff.
Yeah, I mean, pretty significant because you do have to have some inductors and stuff.
Well, that completely changes the node, doesn't it? Completely changes the process fab node, right?
That I do not know. But I mean, they're not lacking at other stuff in here too, right? So if you look at like the system diagram, it's got it's got DMAs, it's got codecs, it's got MIPIs for doing display stuff, it's got all the usual embedded DACs, ADCs. I don't like the ADCs for Espresso personally, but UARTs, all that kind of stuff. And then it's like all this stuff, and then I'm guessing at some point they will also have a version where they tack on a Wi-Fi 6 or something as well. So I know it's interesting. It's interesting to see what they're going for in this game. I'm guessing they're going for low cost, high power. I'm guessing they're kind of going after STM32 with this sort of thing. Maybe even like more like the NXP side of things, because it's like pretty beefy. This almost looks like an infotainment kind of like, if it's got encoding for video, it's got like display drivers, things like that. Like they're like maybe a car manufacturer came to them and said like, hey, if you can make this 50 cents and we'll buy a gajillion of them for all over our infotainment system sort of thing, but we don't want any connectivity because that'll drive the cost up. And then you think about the fact that it's RISC-V instead of Tensilica, and so then the licensing cost drops off too, and it's like, wow, I feel like this is a leading edge kind of component for me, because other manufacturers are going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, they don't pay Tensilica, or they don't pay ARM any of those licensing fees.
Exactly.
That's wow, we can really get cheap with this stuff. And like I feel like this might be a leading edge for other chip makers to keep dipping toes into the RISC-V.
Yeah.
Still do it. The RISC-V pond, I think.
Can we actually call it now? Is it too early to call it that like everyone, like RISC-V is going to be like the thing?
Oh,
I don't think it's too early to call that. It's like everyone's doing it.
It's a little early, only because of implementation, right? So I think it's only early in that they're not out there broadly, right? So like in terms of like parts you can actually buy, which we've said on the show many times before, of like doesn't exist until it's on the shelf at DigiKey. Even this P4 isn't out yet. However, Espressif has the C3, which is available in large volumes, which is one of their cheaper Wi-Fi parts, and it works well. It doesn't have as much memory, so like they're definitely like they're not using up floor space for that sort of thing either, right? They don't have a lot of like onboard flash.
Yeah.
But it's out there and people are using it, so like that's cool. And I keep seeing more and more RISC-V parts like pop up. I think I might be buying you a bunch of RISC-V parts in a couple weeks.
I was about to bring that up. Yep. You're gonna have to
we'll get to that later.
Dude. We'll get to that. We'll do that at the end of the show.
That's future episodes.
Can I actually shout out the PCB design in this article? This Hackaday thing which you sent me.
Sure.
This is a weigh scale built onto a PCB. So they're using the flex in the PCB as the scale. They've got a little sensor on the bit of the PCB that moves. So they've routed out slots on the PCB, and then they've put metal standoffs on there, and those metal standoffs would go to a plate on top, and then
Uh-huh.
they're using the sensors on the PCB to actually get the strain, so they're using a strain gauge on the PCB material itself to actually measure the pressure on the actual PCB material.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know how linear that's going to be, but it's cool.
Yeah, and this is definitely using. I think it's using that cheapo 74 HX7. Yeah, the HX711. That's like a really cheap. Like that's what's in all of your cheap scales that are out
Oh,
there.
is it? Okay, right.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not going to be super
No,
accurate on its own,
no, but
but it's like it's a 24-bit SAR. What's the other one? SAR and Delta Sigma. It's a Delta Sigma.
SAR, for those who don't know, is a successive approximation.
That's
Yep.
right. Yeah, that's the faster one.
Yeah.
This is a Delta Sigma.
Okay.
It's a 24-bit Delta Sigma,
Right.
but like super cheap. And you can get them at like you can get them online at like from China directly, but like also like SparkFun uses them, and usually any of the like the kind of the strain gauge cheapo weight scale type of
Yeah.
things uses those HX711. So yeah, that is really cool. I was a little confused at first. I wasn't sure
Oh, sorry. It
what you were
popped
pointing.
up. Yeah, no,
It was a
I
different
thought it
article
was a
that we were talking
segue
about. Yeah,
article. I
yeah.
thought it was a
Yeah,
related
yeah.
thing, but it wasn't. I was just, yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, this is very clever in that
Yeah.
way. To be able to, and like being able to put those sensors directly in line in the PCB definitely can cut down on cost.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how low can you go though, right?
Yeah. But it's it's
You know?
it's just novel. Like you wouldn't do this in a proper product where you're
Yeah,
actually
right,
trying to,
right.
you want proper
That's right.
linearity and accuracy and stuff. It's just not
Hmm.
going to do the
Yeah,
business. But no, it's
yeah,
it's it's kind of neat. So
yeah.
yep,
That's cool. It's
it's
cool.
not the first time I've added a strain gauge to a PCB.
Tell me about other times.
For measuring flex
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
and start. So you would, we'd super glue strain gauges to PCBs inside to see if any flex is transferring from the outside of the product to the inside. Like, because the PCB's inside like a shell,
Oh,
and we need to
yeah.
know like when the outside product bends because it's actually designed to bend, and then we need to know if any of that's
Yeah.
transferred inside. So, yeah,
Right. Right. I always think about like parts that have or sorry, products that have intended like plug unplug type cycles where you might be flexing a PCB or similar, even if it's
mm,
like built into the case. And then like thinking about like the what's that capacitor problem? Is it like the cracking that happens where sometimes because it's a rigid
yes,
structure, but if the
yes.
PCB flexes underneath it, it can like crack
The
the ends and
ceramic
you'll never
capacitor,
actually
yeah,
see
that
the
happens in multi-layer ceramic
yeah.
capacitors, yeah, because they've got,
Yeah,
dozens
yeah,
or even
yeah.
hundreds of layers, and they're all rigidly connected
Yep.
to the end cans of that
Yeah, like the
the
metal
metal, and
piece.
then
Yeah,
that metal
yeah,
is soldered onto the PCB, and then you flex the PCB, and it pulls
yeah.
on those little, even the tiny amount of flex, it just pulls on
Poor little
those end
guys.
caps, and then it's brittle.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to remember,
yeah,
ceramic is brittle,
yeah,
right? And if it cracks,
yeah.
like it'll reach a stress point where it cracks, and then you're either going to get a shorter capacitor and it catches on fire, or you're going to get an open
Yep.
capacitor, and well, that could also ruin your day. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yep, mm,
Crazy.
yep. Especially in those,
Crazy.
100 mic cap in a bloody 0402 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep. Yep.
apparently AVX is a spoiler alert. It's sitting on my mailbag shelf. I haven't opened it yet, of course, because I open them
Mm-hmm.
on air. But AVX Ron Demko, former guest, he
Mm-hmm.
sent me some of their latest, like I don't even remember, like 002, 001 parts or something like that's
Oh
not it,
no.
but like the smallest parts they make,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like
Uh-huh.
like
Getting out the microscope, huh?
exactly. I'm literally going to have to put it under
Yeah.
my decent microscope to
Yeah.
see these things. It's just nuts. So
I did think about that.
that'll be
My
fun.
buddy who's in purchasing, he told me like how when you think about like the kind of the center of mass. If you think about like the center of mass of all the people that are ordering capacitors, that has to be shifting. Apple orders more capacitors than I
Oh
will
right,
ever
yeah, of course.
even conceive of using in my lifetime, right? And so
Yeah.
when you think about manufacturing then and like the manufacturers surely are going to have more of whatever Apple wants versus what Chris wants. If I want 0805 with like some massive value because I'm, doing some large scale capacitance on a board. Apple doesn't care because they just need to bypass as small and as cheaply next to the part that they've put down, right? And so like, but you think about like the parts that are in the ecosystem, and then even the surplus from an Apple that might be able to supply the rest of the ecosystem, that it just moves away from the technology nodes that you and I are used to, the 0805s, the 0603s, and that there are just more and more parts at the small scales that I personally will never use, you know. And so then the costs go up on the 0805s and those 0603s because they might still have to make them for some people, but they don't want to because the volumes aren't there as much. So we pay a premium for being old and stodgy.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Got it. Well, some people avoid 0603s because they either go 0805 or 0402.
These are too small?
No, it's kind of like in that median, like it's kind of like the middle child everyone forgets, you know, because like nobody cares about. Like if you want decently small in,
I was the middle child.
You know, oh, well, you were.
I was the middle
okay,
child.
there you go.
Yeah. I have so many scars.
Right. Okay. Some emotional, scarring. Come on, Chris. Let us out. Let it all out. Come on.
I just want to be an 0603 capacitor.
I just want to be my true self.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And actually, another reason not to use 0603 is because of the confusion with 0603, 0201, how the metric imperial lineup happens.
Oh, well, that's confusion over the board, isn't it? There's several overlaps in the imperial metric.
Oh, what are the other ones? I guess the one that I usually do is the 0603. That's what I usually order 0603 capacitors, and I'm like, wow, these are really tiny. And they're actually 0201s.
Oops.
Yeah. Metric gets me again.
Ah, well.
Were there's other crossovers though?
Yeah, I do believe there are other crossovers.
Oh, okay.
You have to look at the list to get them all.
We need more decimals. That's what we should push for. More decimals.
No, we just need the world to stick to bloody imperial, please.
I believe when you were talking about 0805s and 0603s, you were actually talking to... Wait, you said stick to imperial?
Yeah, stick to imperial.
Oh, stick to imperial. Oh, wow.
When it comes to component sizes, 0603, yes.
Yeah, I was arguing
No.
Uh-huh. Got it.
Yes.
You're a traditionalist. That's what you're trying to say.
Same with PCB grids and yep. I'm happy to go metric with hole sizes and PCB dimensions and stuff like that, but nope. Otherwise, bugger off. Imperial. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yep. I will die on that hill.
Did you see there was a guy that developed a PCB tool, and he was a US guy, and he's like absolutely refused to do any kind of like he would only release it with imperial measurements, and he had all these snarky responses about having metric measurements. I was like, oh, come on, man.
Yep. Nah. No, it's like it's too entrenched. I don't know, the metric components.
Yeah, I think once all the boomers retire, what'll do it.
Yeah. Because like you know it by the number. It's not like you don't think of it in terms of its actual dimensions because you already have the footprint, right? The footprint's just like it's done, right? And it's like otherwise you don't think about it. So it's just annoying. Yep. I see no advantage to actually specifying them in metric because you got like your footprint is different. Right? And go and specify your bloody footprint completely in metric if you want. I don't care. I just want a consistent numbering system for the actual component. Right?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, metric is fine with me. I prefer it for footprints. I switched to mostly metric for even trace widths and stuff because a lot of the PCB manufacturers are starting to do that. Not all of them, but like the Chinese ones are doing metric, and I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. And I'll make the switch over, but yeah.
I've done it too, but I still prefer, my 4th hour tracks. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's for me, it's acted as a good, I have to like stop and like ask myself if it's actually what I want when I'm going to order. And that actually is that's a good slow down step. Any kind of step for that slows me down is actually good. Cause then I'm like, oh, I should check my work. I found a bunch of that.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Is there a tool for that can like force your design to slow down every like once a day or something like that. So it forces you to go, oh,
I
damn.
believe that's called a
It's
boss.
got to be right. No, they usually come in and just give you a different task.
Well, or they say, Dave, we need to talk.
Oh, it's been a long time since that's happened to me.
Yeah, you haven't had a boss in a while, huh? You're ruled by the algorithm.
No, I'm talking 12 years now, 11 years. Yeah,
Wow, wow,
yep,
wow. He's off the chain,
yep,
folks.
totally.
He can't be
No, but
controlled.
for
Yeah.
good 25 years there, that was the thing, So, yep.
Hmm. Yeah, we are in the season of what's it called? Yearly reviews. So,
All right.
any tips for people that are doing yearly reviews that are getting reviewed? What should they should?
Oh, as
You
in you're
always say
talking about
like
job interview
bring
yearly review.
job, yeah, like
Ah,
job progress and like your boss is reviewing you for the year, maybe for
uh,
bonuses or getting a promotion.
the snarky side of me
Did you
wants
ever
to
go through
say
that?
if you get a job performance review and they start putting wank words in there, just leave. Sorry, but it's like
Well, that works great unless you have a house payment, right?
you were hoping for something a bit more optimistic there.
No, not optimistic. Actually, I was just looking for stories.
Oh, right.
Just thinking
Yeah.
about my own past reviews. Like when I think about, I never, I, this may come as a surprise to some people, but I'm not that great of an engineer, and so I never like. Nobody was ever like, "Oh yeah, you did so well this year, Chris. We're giving you a promotion to, next, you're skipping a level, and we want to give you so much more." Like, I hear about that sort of thing, and it's like, that's not me. I'm getting a solid 3 out of 5s across the board, which I don't know about in Aussie culture, but in like U.S. culture, like it'd be like you'd get kind of like the middling grades on reviews, and then
Yeah, yeah,
and
right.
then you just know that you're not moving up that
Yeah,
year.
yeah, of
Okay,
course.
fine,
Right.
whatever. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, is that how it was there?
Well, you can probably guess my performance, my job reviews
Dave
performance.
does not do well with authority. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
that
does not
that section was well known.
lacks tact in
Yeah. Should be seen but not
yeah,
heard.
right. Exactly. That was pretty much the gist of all my performance reviews.
Yeah.
Yep. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why they locked me in the dungeon. Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not
Yeah. I
joking.
so
Like, that is a literal thing. I have photos of me in the dungeon. Like,
yeah, I
yeah.
believe it. Yeah, you're basically
Yep.
Milton,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in
yeah.
Office
I'm,
Space.
I'm Milton in Office Space who gets, yeah.
There you
Yep,
go.
totally. And then there's a photo of me surrounded, like I was down in the dungeon, and there's a photo of me surrounded by like 20 chairs because this is where they stored all their chairs as well, excess chairs. And it's like, it's
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
yep,
That's
yep,
great.
yep. Oh boy, they tolerated me is the answer. Is they okay, Dave, we'll tolerate you
Yep.
for another year. Try and do better.
Yep.
Oh god.
Yeah, so like when I talk about like, trying to, sell a solution to someone or like in my current role, I'm trying to convince people to use the thing that I'm working on. I always talk about like making people look good for their boss.
Yeah.
And that's like a common thing that I mention
Mm.
because when I think about like those design reviews or sorry, those performance reviews, like that's really where the rubber hits the road. Like if I could walk in to a performance review like that and I could say like, hey, I did this demo and that allowed us to, make $100 million more last year or something like that. And then I say after that, I'm like, and I would like a 10% raise. Like if they say no, then you walk out the door because like that's a very easy.
Right.
And so like when you think about like how,
That's an easy sell. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like, but that's the tough thing about that is my experience in like hardware is that you're always so far away from the, being able to prove that what you did $100 million in sales. If you can connect those dots,
Oh, that's rare.
and they don't give you that
That's
money,
incredibly rare.
yeah,
No, that's
yeah, it's
yeah.
tough, right? Especially if you're in a big company where like you're doing a component of a component that gets put into
Exactly,
the
and
big
that's most
project at the end,
engineering
right?
jobs. Let's be honest, right? Is
Yeah, totally,
you're just
yeah, oh,
one
totally, right,
small
and
cog in a giant wheel.
yeah,
And
but I think about in that case, like, so okay, you can't prove your end result that you spent 3 months, like 3 solid months doing good work
yep.
on, like, or like you did all the testing so that you prove that the mean time between failures is going to be like
Yeah.
a million years or whatever, whatever you tested, and you did a good job as like, that's a true engineering job, right? Like long-term testing and proof and reporting on that sort of thing. So you can't, you can do what you're expected to do on that kind of job. But then if you can somehow like walk into the meeting and be like, but now I can show that I did my job and I was more efficient at doing it. If you could have some kind of like demo to show that sort of thing, and like, like however you can show that like you provided value, maybe not at the end $100 million, increase in business, but like even doing your job a little faster. Like, hey, I pulled in Mid-Journey images, so I don't have to go and talk to the art department anymore.
Right. I just made your art department redundant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Unlikely, but like that kind of thing.
Yep.
That's what I feel like you kind of have to do in order to grab attention during those time periods. It's tough. I mean,
one tip I've got is to try and be like, you've got your job, right? So you're in your department or whatever. Try and like, instead of sitting in the cafeteria at lunchtime yapping away, right? Go to some other department and see if there's something that you can help out on or something like that. So when it comes around to review time, you can say, hey, I was actually, I've helped out on all these other different
true team
departments.
player.
I'm a like, I'm like very useful across many.
I'm an invaluable connector between subgroups, right? Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
That's a good
I'm
point.
the glue that binds them together. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the other tip that people, especially like young career engineers, need to hear is you should leave your job. You should switch companies often, because that's how you're going to get your biggest pay bump. If you're waiting for that 10%
you're
pay
not
bump
going to
or
get it.
20% pay bump,
It's
the best way to do that is to move
Yeah.
companies. And it sucks because it means you have upheaval and, you might
don't
not
don't
like
do
your
it
new
too
job as much.
frequently because it looks bad
That's
on
right.
your resume. Some people say 2 to 3 years is
I
like,
say 3 years. You got to take the first year to really know a place and like
Yeah,
get in there.
of
But
course.
like
Yep.
after 3 years, like, yeah, the best way to move, it sucks.
If you've got like, if I'm looking at somebody's resume and they've got, and I know we want somebody for a project, like a 5-year long project, which some of our projects were, right? Because they've
Yeah.
got long tail stuff, right? We want someone to stay on for a long time. Then if I look at a
Yeah.
resume and they've moved every 2 years, then I know that's pretty consistent pattern,
Right. Well, the history's going to change
Yeah,
now,
I'm
I'm
sure.
sure.
Yeah,
They're going to settle down. Yeah. Yeah, nah.
Yep. And a year is like, no, that's red flag kind
Yeah.
of stuff, if you're moving every
Yep.
year. Yep. In fact, I would say, like, if you've got a job that's like less than a year that you spend at, don't put it on your resume. Like,
Oh, interesting.
unless it's like, like you got retrenched or something like that, and you can put the reason right up the top. I was retrenched, or something, the company
Right,
folded
yep.
or whatever. Then that's a fine excuse.
That's
But if
right,
you
yep.
simply left,
Right. Unless you're the reason that the company
right,
folded, then you shouldn't put that
that's
on there.
it. Oh boy.
That resistor value was too low.
Yep.
The company
Right.
folded.
We relied on chat. We relied on Chat GPT. It said it could do it, and and
ChatGPT,
it's like, yep.
Turns out it cannot write Python very well.
And I've got a beautiful segue for this. If
Okay.
engineers
I had one
being
too.
valuable
I had one too.
in that, this is what thousands of Twitter engineers said. I'm so valuable. I'm so valuable.
Oh, man, I knew you were going to go there.
You can read me like a
before we
book.
go there. I do want to go there.
You have to acknowledge the quality of that segue, though. Thank you very much.
That was a fantastic segue. You know what, Dave? 5 out of 5 on your
on my
performance review for segues this year.
performance review. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Segue performance
Yep.
review. Yeah, 5 out of 5. Before we do that, because we're talking about jobs, if people want to work with me,
Ooh.
there is a job opening that would work directly with
I
me.
would.
2
I
job
will
openings
submit my
that work
resume
directly with me.
tomorrow.
Sorry, your segues are great. Everything else,
Yeah,
nah. Sales engineer and head of marketing. Probably the latter is not going to be listening,
Right.
but I think a sales engineer might be. So I will link it. If you'd like to work with me,
Oh, so the job is sales engineer. What?
it's like a FAE basically.
FAE,
It's listed
okay.
as sales engineer, but it's like an FAE. Yeah. If my job is
Dude, you almost totally lost everyone there by saying sales engineer.
I know a sales
You
engineer.
should have said FAE.
I know, it's tough.
All right.
Yeah, FAE is close. Honestly, it is closer. In this case, like I'd be like an.
Oh, sorry. There's a magpie attacking another magpie. Yep.
Australia.
Yep.
Yeah, in this case, I would be like an application engineer, and they would be like a field application engineer. So.
Oh, okay. Does that mean you're
you don't know what that is?
getting away from the fieldy stuff now?
No. Like just that I'm kind of making references, right? So like if you think about an application
Right.
node, it's kind of like a reference
Yep.
design. That's what I'm doing. And then this would be like taking reference designs and then like deploying them to real world locations and like helping people actually make
Got it.
them into real
Okay.
things.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. And it's still like feedback and like designing. There would still be some room for like designing reference designs as well, but probably more implementation of those things in the real world.
So do they bypass
So
HR and just send their resume straight to you? Of course they do. Everyone knows that.
sure. Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah. I will put my email address in the show notes. How about that?
Woo. Last time I did a job, last time I put up a job ad, I got like 500 resumes.
Oh my God. Yeah, but that was working directly with you and they didn't know what they were really getting themselves
Right,
into.
yeah.
That's, I hope not that
Yep.
many. All right. Let's talk about how I owe you a bunch of chips,
Yep.
probably.
You owe me a bunch of chips. When was the date? Was it the 15th?
It was, I think actually the date is the release date of this episode.
Oh, okay.
Is,
right.
Yeah. Is that,
Yep. I don't think Twitter's
the
going to
15th is the day we release
then.
this episode.
No.
I don't think 4 days is going to do it.
No,
Yeah.
no. Sorry, my Twitter, for those who want to know, I've been gaining followers like crazy. So I've been.
I saw that.
Yep,
Yep,
I've been
yep,
gaining
yep,
followers, and the engagement is as solid as ever. So and it hasn't collapsed.
Yep, good for you.
So sorry, dude.
Twitter has
Yep.
not collapsed. I repeat,
It's not
Twitter has not collapsed yet. I can still hold out hope.
Right.
Dave.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So let me know.
Yep. I will let you know.
Remember, it was $100 in chips. Do you want me to buy you these CH32s, the Risk Fives?
Not yet, because I am.
How about any Risk Fives of your choice?
Does it have to be a Risk 5?
I think it should be a Risk 5, but you know what? It's we'll just tag it on $100.
Well, I'll try and use a Risk 5 in my latest design, but it's kind of like overkill. I think a Risk 5 is probably overkill for projects I'm currently working on. But if it's 10 cents, you know.
Yeah, I think it's really. Yeah, I think that's the real thing, is the novelty of it and trying it out.
Yep.
I do think a lot of people are. I saw our old friend Greg Davil is working on this part, and he had linked me some resources. I got pulled away to something else. There's still like the tool chain is still kind of underdeveloped versus like, looking at other chips that are.
Is that Chinese one? Because I just got that before I left. I was going to do a video before I left on it. You know that little demo.
Yeah, that is that one.
Little
the CH32
CH. Yep. I finally got it.
CHV.
So yeah.
Oh, there it is. CH32V003F.
Yep.
So that's the part number.
Yep.
Yeah. So you and I have that same thing.
Yep. Have you actually?
No, that's I got pulled off on other things.
So yeah, I'm going to use. That's probably
be
the first thing I do when I get back is have a play around with that.
Yeah, okay.
Going to install it because I actually downloaded all the tools, but I didn't have. They've got their own compiler and stuff like that. It's on a different website, but they're affiliated with it or something. So yeah,
that's right. Yeah, Moon
River.
Moon River.
MOUN. Moon River.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool name, Yeah.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Maybe they asked Chat GPT, what is a cool English name Western English name?
Oh man, that would be much better. I swear, the more I look at like Amazon products, that are just coming straight from China, it's just like they're just choosing the smallest number of letters they can get away with,
right.
And then they have no. Like they don't even make sounds at this point. It's crazy. Like I've seen some real doozies.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Let's see though. Let's see what ChatGPT says.
Oh, okay.
What is a good name for a compiler company?
For a compiler company, yes. Ask it. I don't have a tab. I don't have a ChatGPT tab open. Hang on.
Chat.
There we go.
GPT. Okay. Try. It doesn't.
Oh, hang on. I have to verify that I'm human first. Ironically, I've got to verify that I'm human. So.
Yeah. What is a good name for an embedded compiler company? Oh, here we go. A good name for an embedded compiler company would be something like Firmware Forge or Embed Compiler Technologies or Micromate Compiler, which effectively communicates the company's focus on embedded systems and compilers. Not a bad answer, ChatGPT.
That's all right. Yeah.
Did you see my screenshot? I asked about how to do a layout in KiCad, and it referred me to my own video series.
Oh yes, I saw that. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, you've finally come full circle. Yep.
Yeah, I made it.
You've made it.
Look, I made it. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. the AI knows me. The AI recognizes me.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, we should probably end on AI, right? Or do you have other things?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things is because one of the reason that spawned my video on the topic was that a satire company were now taking their content behind a paywall because they don't want to feed the AI engine. And that, I'm sure there will be other companies that will do the same thing. They'll go, well, I'm not going to feed it for free. Like, yeah, they can try and steal it from going around the paywall and all that sort of thing. It's not, it's possible. Right. But at least I'm not going to give it up for free. Does this mean a lot of people won't be giving up their source code? They won't want to, put their source code on, open source anymore? I'm sure there are people out there who will be thinking that. Right.
I'm sure there are. I don't think it'll have
I don't think it'll have a big impact. No, I mean, but it's like,
I think the other thing too is that you think about like the things that are feeding back into these engines are often, so like every time you use an AI model, you're training an AI model as well, right? So you think about like what's the GitHub code mate or whatever it's called. It's like the Copilot. That's it. So GitHub Copilot, it's like kind of doing like almost like autocomplete based on whatever you're writing.
Right.
And mixed reviews, but like generally pretty amazing stuff. And that like it's an enhancer, right? It helps you to go faster. You're still kind of creating the ideas, but like you're not as dependent on format and structure, and because it's kind of just auto completing for you. Well, you're also training it, right? And like, so if you want to utilize these things, you're also training these things. And so, yeah, I mean, people are going to, the source material that was out in the public domain might shrink over time, but I think it's really the usage of it that will, and the feedback mechanism around it that ultimately will drive the most growth into it, I think.
Yeah. I just used the engine wrong. I said, what is a good compiler company name? And it told me there are many reputable companies that produce compilers. Some well-known examples include GNU, LLMV. Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Borland C++, Clang.
Borland C++.
Nice. Got Borland C++.
Clang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Did it say GNU is a good name? GNU is a terrible name. It's terrible.
Totally. Yep. Yeah, but see, it didn't understand what I actually wanted. I needed to, prompt. I needed to do some prompt engineering, which is the term.
Prompt engineering. That's
prompt engineering to, So now I have to use the word generate. So I'm going to generate a compiler company name. No. See if we can do that. Okay. Generate a compiler company name. Progressive Compiler Technologies. Streamline compiler systems, innovative compiler works. Oh, it's just thrown in the wank words. Optimized compiler solutions, precision compiler dynamics. Efficient compiler creations, nimble compiler innovations. Oh, this is wankery. Futuristic compiler corp. This is like Douglas Adams kind of like.
And the thing is though, like they're going off all of these terrible names. Yeah, it is. Yeah. What's the name of the robot the robot company in Hitchhiker's Guide? The one with the doors that go genuine people personality.
Oh god. Don't put me on.
Ask the robot, Dave. It's right there. It's right there.
Next gen compiler technology.
Serious
cybernetics. Serious cybernetics.
Cybernetics. That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Advanced compiler.
There's a.
This is terrible.
There is a Pete Holmes thing that I'll link in here. Pete Holmes is a comedian, and he talks about like back in the days when we didn't have Google in our pockets, and now Chat GPT in our pockets, right?
Yeah.
And just like the amount of joy that it would bring when you like remembered where a musician was from. It's a really good stand-up bit. I'll link that into.
I'm gonna apparently ChatGPT is good with follow-up questions, so I'm gonna put more please, but less cringy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna but less cringy.
Dave, this is great. We could just do this all day.
We could start this could just be our podcast. Live
new podcast. Dave and Chris just put crap into an AI engine and see what comes out.
Sure. Here are some more compiler company names That might be less cringy.
Just like our audio as well, right?
Here we go. It did actually do it. That might be less cringy. Here we go. See if you agree. Code-write compilers. Cortex compilers.
Nope.
Don't mind that one.
Nope.
Cogent compiler
that's
systems.
Gonna be,
Vertex compiler technologies. Blue River. We're getting close to the Moon River. Blue River compiler solutions. Yeah. That's all right.
I like the Cogent one. Cogent wasn't a bad name.
Yeah. Cogent compiler systems.
I mean, when you go through like how people actually name things, anyways, this isn't that
no,
different.
No,
right?
No, exactly. It's you throw random shit at a wall and see what sticks. Yeah. And then you sort of mix and match. Oh, I like that word, but I don't like it mixed with this other word.
Exactly.
And Yep. Hyperion compiler industries. Zenith compiler solutions. Oh god. Okay. Yeah. Radiance compiler technologies. Optimax compiler system. So, who
starts a company just based on a compiler though too, like that's a bad
oh boy. Anyway, what it can't do is company logos. I have tried. It cannot do company Midjourney cannot do company logos. I have not been able to get it to even come close to even giving a simple logo.
Have you tried try line art? So like give it a
okay, line. Okay, I can't do that live
line
here.
Art.
Yeah, line art. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, it thinks it's
like vector drawings.
Okay,
vector, so like simple shapes, vector drawings. But like again, that's like if you don't know
that's
those
your prompt
keywords,
engineering skills come in. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a funky new world we're living in, Dave.
Indeed.
But for now, people are stuck with the meat robots known as Dave and Chris. So our stupid brains, whatever we can output.
But we have some prompt engineering skills, and people are laughing at us for building up our prompt engineering skills. I think it opens a lot of doors. So, yep. Even if you don't, if you're a freelancer or you're just a Joe Blogs engineer at work, having access to, being able to have those killer prompt engineering skills might make you look like a genius.
Might, yeah.
Can I give you I think I might have mentioned this way in the past, but I can't believe, all management at my company thought I was an absolute god when I started to take images, like photos, with a Sony, the floppy drive, the Sony Vika camera, which I've done a video on. I started taking photos, and then you got a 640 by 400 JPEG out of that. Right, that was the highest res you got out of it. Right, but then I started, then I put the floppy drive into the computer, and then I'd insert images into Word documents as part of the documentation for test procedures and stuff like that. They thought I was a god, and all I was doing was
you were just and that's a really good point actually. You were just leading edge by what, like a couple years, but like that leading edge does make you look really good.
Yeah,
and you say that they put you in the basement. It was just actually probably just to make sure you didn't make them look bad by comparison.
Exactly. But seriously, oh my god, the pats on the back. I was like, they were bowing down, Dave is the document god,
right?
And
right,
unbelievable.
Right. And then eventually it became normal.
That's a
great example.
Yeah, I mean, this was in the age when the company was still doing stuff on grid paper, and we would actually print out something, get the glue, we'd actually stick it on the grid paper, and then we'd photocopy the A3 grid sheets, and then we'd have backup documents. It was all
awesome.
It was all still I was godlike.
Yeah.
Yep. Those were the days.
Those were the days.
Yeah. But you can be godlike now. I'm telling you.
That's right.
Right?
With Midjourney.
Yeah. Seriously, I could just set up a new Twitter account, and I could picture myself as I could market myself as an artist, and I could put up all these funky, art, and people would think I'm
I do wonder, there's a lot of street fairs around here. Like in the summer when it's nice out, walking around.
You could sell art. You could stand outside and you could sell all this art that you've generated.
I've printed one. Did I tell you?
Really?
I think I told you that. I printed a 40 by 30 inch huge canvas.
What res are you? Because you've got the top pro account for Midjourney. What resolution does it give you?
The first feedback my wife gave me was, "Oh, it's kind of blurry, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was.
right.
It was way too big for that." So I should have done some more.
Yeah.
But it was already kind of block. Like the style was kind of blocky, anyways.
Right.
But yeah, it's only 1,500 by 1,000.
Okay. Right.
output,
Yeah.
So yeah, got to do a little post editing.
Yep.
All right, man. I gotta go generate some graphics. I think here.
All right.
So,
Enjoy.
good show about AI.
Yeah, we didn't intend it to. I don't know. It's supposed to be. I thought we were done with that, but no.
Yeah, it's coming back. It's coming back in a big way. 2023.
Yep.
All right. See ya.
Catch you next time.